everyone. Welcome and thank you to those of you who are here in the room with us on campus. Thanks to all of you who are streaming in, and welcome to Full Sail Hall of Fame. My name is Lisa Necrason, and I work in career development here at Full Sail, and I hope you will put your hands together with me and help welcome Mr. Fernando Delgado. Fernando is the owner of Stickman Sound and current inductee for Hall of Fame. So another huge congrats for our brand new inductee. So I know most of you have done your research. You know a lot about Fernando. I'll give a very brief intro. Fernando works in production genres such as live sports entertainment, reality television, motion pictures, and commercials. His audio work can be found on projects including VR Experience with multi-platinum rock band Coldplay, Fox Sports, and tons more. You can find his full bio and credits on Full Sail Events app or a simple Google search, but I'm going to kick off the conversation with a couple questions that Google can't answer, and I hope that you'll be thinking of the same kind of questions so that we can open the conversation. We'll get you a mic. As soon as you think of something, you can raise your hand and I'll volley it out to you. Good? We good? That's the format? Sweet. So let's get it going. Actually, right when Fernando came in, we started talking side stage, and I thought this story was so beautiful, I kind of wanted to open with that, if that's okay with you. My question to him was a little bit about life after Full Sail. Like how was he planning for his career after Full Sail, and what were those strategies he was putting into place to either work freelance, work for a company, or to open his own company? And the beautiful story that emerged was...
I started my company, I actually started working on my company when my brother passed away, and I just kind of sunk into my work, and that was my way of grieving. And when I came out, I had this company that I had built and a team that I had built, and so that was kind of my way, I guess, of dealing with that loss.
Honoring him. And honoring him.
Yeah, well, he always had encouraged me to kind of handle business like a business, and I was always like, nah, I'm just going to wing it. Whatever happens, happens. I'll deal with it. It's cool. And I guess I just got really focused after he passed away. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
I didn't have a company before he passed away, but I've got one now.
Yeah, so it was beautiful that, that's life, right? And death, and how we respond to the things that happen, how it shapes who we are. I loved how you were saying how you were winging it, even though you were doing well as a student, you weren't really putting the plan together, and then diving into the crux of who you are in those moments is really where that
I was
beauty
so
emerged.
young when I graduated, not physically, I think in my brain.
Yeah.
I was still so naive and so young that I didn't really even understand after I had graduated what I was supposed to do with it. I knew that I wanted to work in the entertainment business. I knew that at the time I wanted to make records, so I started working towards that. But when I look back at that period of time in my life, I was so naive. I don't know what I was actually looking for.
Well, and now he's the quintessential pro, and I just want to show you what happened side stage. He grabbed some tape because he knew that he couldn't have a logo on the stage on his cup. So not necessarily a sound thing, but he's been in entertainment long enough to know all the protocols and stuff, so that was really cool.
Not allowed to display coffee logos unless it's a Full Sail coffee logo.
Or whatever company you happen to be with, right? No matter where you are on camera, that's a big deal. So tell us a little bit about how you built your network. So you went through the process of working freelance. You ultimately started your own company. But how did your network organically or strategically evolve and build?
It was all organic, really. I was very fortunate in that the last job I had was my first exposure to television. And when I quit that job, I went freelance. And the reason I quit the job and the reason I thought the freelance market was the way to go was because I had been there for about a year, and I was showing all the freelancers how to use the equipment that they should have already known how to use. And they were making far more money than I was, and every single time I'd run them through the gear again, they would say, hey man, why aren't you freelancing? So eventually, I quit my job, and I, at the time, there wasn't the internet available. So, and they still have them. People probably don't read them very often anymore, but every state has a film guide with all the local production companies, all the local pros, post little ads in there. You can even find a Stickman Sound ad and a little Fernando Delgado deal in the Nevada Film Book today. So I got a film book and I called every number in it. And I said, hey, my name is Fernando and I want to do what you do. And so I got lunches and coffee and beer and met with people. And through meeting certain people, you know, it's funny how opportunity comes around, because you go and you shake someone's hand, and then the next day, all of a sudden they need somebody that does what you do. And then your phone rings, and then you go and you kill it, and then your phone rings again, and then you go and you kill it, and your phone rings again. And if you're really honest about your experience level, you tend to get a lot of grace. And so when I first started, I was really honest about kind of where I was at, and as a consequence, people showed me what I needed to learn to be getting those jobs done. So it was very much an organic thing. I think when you're first starting out, if you're that person that shows up 15 minutes early and you're not in a hurry to get home or to get to the bar, you're going to get the next call. It doesn't matter if you're good.
That's right.
Because you can build those skills. Okay. So, and I think that was what happened with me. People that were my peers were like, hey, this guy's new to our community and he's serious, so let's put him to work. And I've been working ever since.
Saying yes and crushing it when you get there, building your reputation so the phone starts ringing. It's a huge deal.
And caring about the project.
Yeah. Yep. All right, I could hog the mic for the whole time, but I don't want to do that. I would love to volley it right out, and I see a question already in our front row. If you'll just tell us your name and your degree program, that would be
My name is Braylon Allen, and I'm in the master's degree program, film production.
Awesome.
And my question to Fernando would be, I recently just graduated from recording arts, and I only received a snapshot of post-production. And I would like to know some of the things that I should be researching in regards to propelling forward into that career, because I kind of share a similar story to you. I was focused on making records, and having that exposure really, it moved me, and I really would like to get into that field.
I would say find people that do what you want to do. I think that is the key. If I can give everybody one really general tip, is show up. For anything that you're going to do, show up and be present. So if there's people here on campus that you think you should be learning from, then you need to go shake their hand. You need to introduce yourself to that person, and you need to tell them what your intent is. Because a lot of times when you kind of put it out into the universe, it happens. So, but you have to get to know people that you want to be like. You know, they always say you're no better than the people you surround yourself with. Well, you become the people you surround yourself with. So, if the people that you're around are people that you're looking up to and that they're doing the things that you want to be doing, then those are the people that you need to be surrounding yourself with as much as you possibly can. Did that help? I don't know anything about post-production. I'm still learning myself. I actually came back to campus a year and a half ago to audit a post-production audio class. Because that world is outside of what I've been working in for the last 15 plus years. Right. I've been living in the field for the last 15 plus years. And the reason I came back when I did is because I realized that I didn't know what was happening to any of the stuff I was recording after I handed it in. And now that I've seen the bigger picture, I want to have a bigger role in that entire process. So we're actually working towards building a post side of our business, but it's not going to happen for a while because I'm still learning. So, but regardless of what area you want to work in, whether you're working on records, working on movies, or whatever, you need to surround yourself with people that are doing that kind of work.
Okay. Thank you.
How else are you going to learn?
Right. All right, thank you.
We have a couple more questions in the front here, and I'm sorry if I can't see any
Yeah,
back.
Mike's coming.
Great.
My name's Aaron. I'm in recording arts. I wanted to ask you, what like first got you into audio and music, and what would you say first inspired you and brought you to Full Sail?
So music has pretty much been my entire life. It's my father worked for the federal government, and we lived a very military-style life. We moved around every 4 years or so. For me, as a little kid, music was the only thing I could take with me anywhere I went. No matter where my bedroom was, I had my music, and so that was always a big thing for me. I moved to Las Vegas in 1991. I was a freshman in high school, and my first 2 years of high school were horrible. I probably would have dropped out had I not found a performing arts academy that was opening up that same year, or that subsequent year rather. So my junior and senior year, I went to a performing arts academy with a technical theater major. And I was so naive, like I said earlier, that I thought that people that did the shows on the Strip in Las Vegas went to work during the day and put on shows for fun at night.
Oh my God.
Because who can make a living doing what we do?
Right.
That's ridiculous. It's too much fun, right? So my technical theater instructor, who is actually going to be here inducting me this year, pulled me aside and he says, "What are you going to do when you get out?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm probably going to be a cop like my dad." And he was like, "Have you considered a career in entertainment?" And he handed me a brochure for this school called Full Sail. And on the front of the brochure, it said 1-800-CAN-ROCK. And at the time, my hair was down to my ass, and all I cared about was rock. So it was 2,000 miles away, and so I never made it to the school, but I held onto the brochure, and after I graduated from high school, I moved to South Florida, where my brother was living at the time. And I found the brochure at the bottom of a box after having a really bad day with the family. Called the school. They just happened to have a tour going on that weekend, so I drove up. I walked into Studio A, and I do not remember any of the rest of the tour. I saw at the time there was a Neve VR in the studio, and they were like, "We will show you how to use this." And I was like, "Yes, I've arrived." So, and that was it. I called my best friend that night when I got back to the hotel, who was back in Las Vegas, and I was like, "Dude, let's learn how to make records for a living." I drove back to Vegas a couple weeks later, stayed with his folks for about 6 months, saving money, and then the two of us drove out here and started.
Tell the rest of that story. So you guys studied together, and
Yeah,
then...
we were in every class together. We were lab partners together. And then after we graduated, I went off and I did my thing, and he actually never got into the business. And then one day I needed somebody that I could trust, and I called him, and he's been working for me for about 7 years now.
That's awesome.
And the best part is he was my best friend in high school. We did everything together, and I didn't realize how important he had been in my life. So when we started working together again and kind of rebuilding that relationship, now we're just like we were before. We're like brothers.
It's amazing.
Even though he wouldn't come here because he thought it was more important to work, and I think he sucks for it. But
Great. All right, we have another question up here. I thought I saw another hand here. Yes, okay.
I guess I want to know, what did you do that your friend didn't do that got you into the industry as opposed to...
I showed up.
You showed up.
I showed up. Yeah, that was it. I mean, I was okay with rejection, and he was a little bit more sensitive to it, I think, at the very beginning. But I think at the end of the day, it was more, I didn't have a contingency plan. I just knew that I wanted to work in, and I didn't even know what I really wanted to do. Like, at the end of the day, making records sounds really exciting, but I was so damn young, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted to work in the business. And so even though, you have pitfalls and obstacles and all this other stuff, I never lost sight of the fact that I wanted to work in the business. So I took all sorts of different types of jobs until I settled into what felt right for me. I think a lot of people get a taste of something and go, oh, this doesn't taste quite right. I'm done. See you later. And they're gone. And because I had a theater background and I knew that making shows was exciting and fun for me, I knew I belonged in the business. It was just a matter of finding out where. I actually never thought television would be what I'm known for. I don't even watch TV that often.
So I guess my next question is I have this, like, I'm sure a lot of people could feel me on this, is like I have a big fear of life after Full Sail, and that's why I kind of want to came to this panel. So after graduation, what did you do to start getting into the field?
Okay. Here's what I've been talking to a lot of students the last couple years who have graduated and then moved to LA or whatever, and I get a phone call or a text message or whatever. I've sent my resume to 100 places. Nobody's calling me back. The first question I ask, how many hands have you shook? Right? And the answer is always none. Well, what do you expect? I guess the upside for you guys now is you have the internet at your disposal. So if you want to learn about somebody, it's easy.
Yep.
Right? You want to find out where somebody is, what they like, all the information that you need about somebody, it's easy. But the one thing that nobody does is go to the office and knock on the door and say, hey, I want to be like you. You're awesome. What do I need to do? Because here's what's happened to two people. I'll give you two really, really quick stories. Two females, both graduated, had completely different career paths, but they both had the same problem. They both contacted me and said, I'm sending out my resumes. I don't know what to do because I'm running out of money and I'm not finding any work. I asked, how many doors have you knocked on? Have you been to visit anybody? No. Okay, here's what you need to do. Who are the top 10 people you admire the most in this business? It doesn't matter how big or small they are. Who are they? Now, where do they work? Go there and knock on their door. Both of these young ladies had a job within a week. Because nobody does it. Yep. Think about it. Think about if you're that successful person, are you going to hire the person that just sends you a document about themselves and expects you to read it? Because I can tell you right now, if any of you send me your resume, that's great. I'm not going to read it. I'm just not. I'm not interested in anything you have to put on paper because, in my opinion, it's not going to reflect who you are. But if you show up at my front door and you go, hey, man, what you do is awesome, and I've really paid attention to what you're working on. Well, you just flattered me. You think I'm going to send you away? No, man, I'm going to invite you in and buy you a coffee. Right? And now you just put your foot in the door. And everybody else is afraid. And afraid of what? We're all nerds. We're all of us, right? We're just nerdy about something a little bit different than the next person. So, and what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to tell you no. Well, you're going to get 10 no's before you get a yes anyway, so you might as well get started now. Yep. So that would be my thing. You want some really good advice? Go shake some hands. Look at some credits. Look at some production companies, find out where they're located, and go meet the people. Yeah. And then I defy you to call me and tell me that you didn't at least get a really good cup of coffee out of the whole thing. Fernando@stickmansound.com. It's on my website. Check out my Instagram. I am all over the place and very, very easy to get a hold of.
That was quite a gem. I hope you all wrote that down or at least committed it to memory. Definitely shake some hands, get your foot in the door, and it only takes one yes. So get started on those no's. The quicker, the better. Yeah. We need a microphone up front for a question here. Oh, you've got it. Great.
Go ahead.
So, what did you do while you were still a student at Full Sail to help you prepare or propel you forward into the industry?
Well, the school is very expensive. I didn't miss a single day. I graduated with a perfect attendance award, which is crazy because I ditched so much high school. I'm surprised I graduated. But to be honest, I don't know that I did anything to prepare. I just showed up every day and I participated. And really, it's funny because The whole reason I'm here in front of you guys right now is because I showed up and I participated. Anybody else see any parallels here? Nothing has changed. I'm doing exactly the same thing that I was doing 20 years ago. So you show up, and you know, the hard part is showing up. I was listening to a business podcast a while ago, and this Olympic figure skater was giving an interview, and the interviewer asked, you know, when you're standing on top of the podium with a gold medal, and we see pictures of you crying, what is that from? Is it because it's just overwhelming to have all these people cheering for you? And he says, no. He says, I don't see people cheering for me. I see the mountains and mountains and mountains of failures that I had to overcome to get to that place. That's what those tears are for. And that's what success is. You're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to get up, and you're going to keep on moving. And then one day you're going to wake up, and you're going to be at the top. You know? And I mean that completely figuratively, because there's nothing about my career that is at the top. But, you know, I feel like I've done really well. Mm-hmm. So I totally forgot where I was going with that.
No, I love that. You got me all choked up. I forgot, too. I was thinking of being on the podium and the tears and all that. It was a beautiful analogy because it's true. That's the cathartic release of all of those failures.
I remember where I was going with it. So
he
says, so then the interviewer says, so what does it take to be successful? And he says, you're going to laugh. It's so stupid. Show up. He was like, when my alarm went off at 4 o'clock in the morning, I could have hit the snooze button, but I didn't. I got up, I put my skates on, and I showed up every single morning. And when you show up, inherently, you're just going to get the work done because you're already there anyway. Mm-hmm. So just show up. Like, be present.
Be present.
And if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late.
Yep, military dad, too. Got it. I see you. Mm-hmm. Great question. Thank you. Right over here.
So you were saying that getting your foot in the door by actually going to the door is like really helpful, but what if you are still in school and want to get your foot in the door? What do you recommend doing online that you can stand out before you go there and actually start knocking on doors?
That's an interesting question. So there's I met a young gentleman who's actually, he just got to campus a little while ago, graduated a few years back. And I was having a discussion, and I told everybody, and just like I'm going to tell you all now, we have an open door policy at Stickman Sound. So if you want to learn how to become a production sound mixer, show up, right? And so he told me afterwards, he's like, hey man, I'm going to show up. And I told him the same thing I tell everybody else that tells me that. I'll see you when you get there, right? Because 99% of the people that say they're going to show up don't. So then he started sending me emails. But at least I knew his name now, right? But I gave him the same response every time he sent me an email. He's like, hey man, I'm 6 months from graduation. Hey man, I'm 3 months from graduation. Hey man, I'm graduating next week. Like, all right, I'll see you when you get here. And like 10 days after he graduated, he showed up at my front door. And would you say 2 months ago, he got home from shooting his first season of The Amazing Race. So.
Wow.
That's what happens when you show up.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
So just show up. Like, keep bugging those people, right? Butter their muffin. Make them feel really good about themselves, right? And then show up. Because they'll be like, he's here.
He made it.
And for the record, this young gentleman, his name is John, he showed up for a year and just hung out and helped us around the shop. And then I got to a point where we were so busy, we needed somebody. Well, who did we hire? We hired John. And why? He knew exactly how we did everything. He knew where all the gear was, where we kept everything. He understood the process because he had been hanging out. And then a year later, he quit because he felt like he had the skills to go freelance, and he does. So I think he left us like 2 years ago now. But that was the whole thing. The dude showed up, and I can't tell you how many Full Sail students I've received emails from that say that they're going to, and then it's crickets after that. Mm-hmm. Right? But the people that actually do, they end up working in the entertainment business.
That's great. Good words to remember, right? It's so easy. Show up.
Yeah, I know it. Doesn't it sound stupid?
I thought I saw some more hands out there, so before I jump into, or do we have any questions from our online friends? We want to make sure that our online friends know that they're more than welcome to send questions in.
Check. See how I did that? I didn't put my butt in the camera. I bent down nicely.
Yeah.
You're welcome at home.
Okay, Jared Silva would like to hear more about you returning to Full Sail recently to audit a class and know what you think about continuing to learn even after you've left school.
Love it.
Auditing that class changed my perspective on so many things about this business. We tend to get niched into what we're really good at. And even if you were to contact all these people from Las Vegas that I've known for really my entire career, a lot of those people would say that I'm a reality person, right? If you go look at the display outside, you would think I was a sports person. I don't like reality or sports, and that's a fact. But I got really good at doing those jobs, so that became my world. When I came back and audited that class, I met all of you guys who have all sorts of ideas of what the business is and should be. I met all sorts of teachers and other professionals that are coming in and out that work in areas of the business that I hadn't even considered. And so now my view on the business is much broader, which is very exciting because I'm looking forward to taking my business to those other areas as well. And I plan on auditing more classes.
Awesome.
If I can afford it, I would just audit everything
Right.
and just not work for a year or two. But I'm not there yet. But when I get there, that I might.
Love
and
it.
I will get there.
So you meant that you don't like reality television, but you do like reality, like real life.
Yes, reality television.
Yes. I felt like that was understood, but I just want to make that clarification. His reputation totally precedes him, and I haven't even had a chance to tell him, but he worked with a girl in my department, a woman in my department, Risa Nicholson, on a reality television show.
Yeah.
And guess what? He did something so simple, but so genius, and that was like followed her for her whole life
Yeah,
after
she still
that.
talks about it
She
every
still
time I see
talks-
her.
Right. So she tells me today, oh, you're going to be talking to Fernando? He did the smartest thing. She was the producer
so
of the
cute.
show. And and whenever people see each other, they always want to go hug. And if you have a mic on right here, it would make really bad sound for the audio when you're producing a show. But he knew to put the microphone
Yeah.
on their
Can
back.
I put it in context?
Yes,
So we
please.
did this show called Find My Family. It was a very emotional show. We had a host. We had two hosts that were both adopted and had both gone and found their biological parents. And the show was about either parents who had given their kids up for adoption who wanted to find them, or vice versa. Kids had been given up for adoption who wanted to find their biological parents. So as you can imagine, it's a very sensitive topic, and there is a lot of emotion involved. So what we did is we traveled around the country and we met all of these people individually. And for a finale, they traveled all of these people to this really beautiful location in Southern California, and they were going to put one person underneath this tree and then another person like up on top of this hill, and they were going to see each other and run to each other. And it was beautiful, like the grass and the wind, like everything about it was just absolutely stunning. But we knew that as soon as that embrace happened, we were going to lose everything. And they were shooting wide shots on everything. Like they wanted to have that huge wide shot
Right.
of them running to each other,
Yep.
which meant no booms. There's no way to get a microphone
Right.
anywhere near these people. And because it's such a big open field,
Yeah.
we don't even know where they're going to actually land,
Right.
right? So, we put two microphones on everybody. We put one on their front so that we could hear them as they're running to each other. But then we also put one right on their back so that when they hugged each other, their mouth was right next to the microphone, so you could hear the, "I've been looking for you my whole life." The producers just crapped their pants when they heard it. It was awesome. They were just besides themselves happy because of how good it sounded.
Isn't that awesome? Seriously.
But that's our job. Our
Right.
job is to figure out what solution is going to work for each individual project and execute. So that was just another day at the office. I appreciate the sentiment, but it's funny that Risa still remembers that.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time she brings it up to me, I'm like, oh yeah,
right.
we did do that.
And it made all the difference in the world for the show, which was huge. So we've got time for one more brief question, and then we're going to wrap. So I see a hand back there, I think. Sorry, these lights are so bright and my glasses. Hi.
Hi. I'm currently studying the game design bachelor, and my question is, have you ever, after graduating Full Sail, have any work related to games? And if you have, like, what kind of advice you can give to those who are actually studying that?
I have done some sound effects for video. Actually, the only video game that I've done sound effects for has been the UFC video games. So we did, I think one game just recently came out. I'm not a gamer, so I don't really know. But I think one game recently came out where we did a lot of ambiances for the game. And that was a lot of fun because they were looking for down and dirty, gritty, small venue audience sounds. And so we were able to go and do some amateur. And it was interesting for me also because normally my job is to capture the action. In this case, my job was the opposite. Because I didn't care at all about any of the action. I didn't care about any punch sounds. I didn't care about anything. All I wanted to hear was the overall sound of the audience and the occasional punch him in the face. You know? So, and then that gentleman, John, that I talked about, who had done the Amazing Race recently, he did some ambiances for the game before that.
Very cool.
Through Stickman.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know anything else about the video game world, though. I apologize. I can't give you any tips on how to get into it because I really don't know.
But Fernando is going to be around here for the week, right, for Hall of Fame, and so you'll see him on campus. I want to thank all of you for the beauty and energy that you brought to the conversation and for showing up, for being here. And please help me thank Fernando for his time, for being with us. Thank you to those of you who have joined us through live stream, and happy Hall of Fame, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy.